My name is Charlotte. I'm 32 years old now, and for most of my life, I believed something was wrong with me. I thought maybe I wasn't good enough, maybe I wasn't smart enough, maybe I just didn't deserve the kind of love other people got from their families. But the truth? The truth was a whole lot darker than that. And the moment I finally uncovered it, it shattered everything my parents had spent 20 years pretending was normal. But before I tell you how all of that unfolded, do me a quick favor. Take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It might seem like a small thing, but it honestly means the world to us and helps more people hear stories like this. All right, take a breath, because this story starts quietly, but where it ends, trust me, nobody in that room saw it coming. I grew up in a nice neighborhood, the kind of place where every lawn looked perfect and every house had a shiny SUV parked out front. From the outside, our family looked like we had everything together. My dad owned a small consulting business. My mom organized charity events and brunches with her friends. My younger brother Ethan was the golden child of the family. And then there was me. If you walked into our house, you'd probably think I was just the helpful one. The girl always doing the dishes, folding laundry, cooking dinner, picking up groceries. At first, I didn't question it. I figured every family worked like that. But the older I got, the more I started noticing something strange. When Ethan turned 16, my parents bought him a brand new car, a shiny black BMW sitting in the driveway with a big red bow on it. Everyone cheered. My mom cried happy tears. My dad kept saying, "That's my boy." I stood there smiling too. But inside, I was thinking, wait, what? Because 2 months earlier, I had asked my parents if they could help me with community college tuition. Their answer? "Charlotte, we just can't afford that right now." Back then, I told myself it was just bad timing. But things like that kept happening. Ethan got a luxury apartment paid for when he went to college. I got a small room in the basement and a list of chores. Ethan got vacations in Miami with my parents. I stayed home, taking care of my grandmother when she got sick. Don't get me wrong, I loved my grandmother. Those years with her were actually some of the only times in that house where I felt truly seen. She used to look at me with this quiet sadness sometimes, like she knew something I didn't. One night when I was 23, she grabbed my hand and said something I didn't understand at the time. "Charlotte, sweetheart, one day you're going to learn the truth, and when you do, don't let it break you." I laughed it off. I thought she was just being dramatic. But looking back now, that moment gives me chills. Years passed. I worked 2 jobs, saved every dollar I could, and slowly tried to build a life outside that house. But every time I thought I was finally getting ahead, something would happen that pulled me right back down. Bills would appear that I didn't recognize. Credit card statements would arrive in the mail addressed to me for accounts I didn't remember opening. At first, I thought it was some kind of mistake. Then one night, I finally sat down and really looked at my credit report, and my heart dropped straight into my stomach. 3 credit cards, 2 personal loans, all under my name. Total debt? $67,000. I remember staring at the screen thinking, what the hell is this? I had never opened those accounts, not one of them. My hands were shaking when I started digging deeper. And that's when I saw the addresses linked to the accounts. My parents' house. Every single one. For a long time, I sat there in silence. My brain was trying to reject what it was seeing. Because there's a moment when you realize something about your family, something so wrong, that your mind just refuses to accept it. But the evidence was right there. My parents had been using my identity for years, charging vacations, shopping trips, luxury dinners, all under my name. And the worst part? They probably assumed I would never notice. For the next few weeks, I barely slept. I gathered statements, records, dates, everything. I needed to be absolutely sure before I confronted them. But deep down, I already knew the truth. Christmas came around that year. And guess what my parents did? They booked a luxury vacation to Aspen. $45,000 for flights, ski lodges, spa days, the whole deal. The entire family was invited. Everyone except me. Instead, they left me a note on the kitchen counter. "Charlotte, can you water the plants and feed the dog while we're gone?" That was the moment something inside me finally snapped. Not with anger, not with yelling, just clarity.
I realized I had spent my entire life trying to earn love from people who had never planned to give it to me in the first place. So while they were sipping champagne on a ski mountain, I was putting together something they would never forget. 3 weeks later, they hosted their annual New Year's brunch. It was always a big event. Friends, business partners, neighbors, about 40 people in total. My mom loved showing off our perfect family. I arrived late that morning. Everyone turned to look when I walked in. My dad gave me that tight smile he always used when he was pretending everything was fine. "Charlotte, hey, didn't know you were coming." I smiled back. "Oh yeah, I wouldn't miss this." People were chatting, laughing, drinking mimosas, and then I walked over to my parents. I pulled a thick envelope out of my bag and placed it on the table in front of them. "Mom, Dad, you should probably read this." My mom looked confused, but opened it anyway. Inside were copies of every credit card statement, every loan document, every piece of evidence linking them to the accounts in my name. At first, she didn't react. Then her face slowly lost all color. My dad leaned over and started reading. The room got quiet. I could hear someone set a glass down across the table. Finally, my mom whispered, "Charlotte, what is this?" I looked straight at her. "You tell me." My dad's jaw tightened. He tried to laugh it off. "Oh, come on, there must be some mistake." But I had already placed one last document on the table, a legal notice from my lawyer. That's when everything fell apart. My mother collapsed into her chair. My father stopped talking. And suddenly everyone in that room realized something was very wrong. Guests started whispering, chairs scraped across the floor. Someone asked if everything was okay. And I said the words I had been holding inside for 20 years. "No, it's not okay." I told them everything. About the credit cards, the loans, the debt they buried me in. The silence in that room felt like a storm waiting to explode. My parents looked like they had just been exposed under a spotlight they couldn't escape. And for the first time in my life, they had no control over the story anymore. Some guests left immediately. Others stayed, staring at my parents like they were strangers. My dad tried to speak again, but the confidence he always carried was completely gone. Because the truth was finally out. And once truth steps into the room, there's no putting it back in the dark. That morning didn't just change my life. It ended the illusion my parents had built for decades. And while I walked out of that house feeling lighter than I had in years, I realized something even more important. Sometimes the people who break you the most are the same ones who accidentally teach you how strong you really are. And if you've ever felt like the outsider in your own family, like the one person nobody sees, just remember this. Your story isn't over yet, not even close. Sometimes the moment that feels like your breaking point is actually the moment your real life finally begins. And trust me, when that moment comes, it hits different.